So it is Thursday, December 20th. This is the meeting of the Tufton Borough Planning Board. So first, minutes. Did anybody see anything that was?
I didn't.
I don't think I was here.
You weren't.
You weren't.
No, so I can't show anything.
I didn't see anything.
I move we accept them as written.
I'll second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Great. Okay, so I think most of you guys are pretty well versed in how the planning board works. I think Steve's here more than I am. But basically, we have two other applications tonight. We're going to go through them. As just as in the past, we'll start off with any opening questions for the planning board.
I have a question. If you're going to have a conversation with a person other than anyone else, as you just did, okay, I need to record that. That's an official business, isn't it?
Which conversation?
The gentleman that was just here who handed you a document, you said you were having a conversation, why? Could you help me out? What, you just received the document from a gentleman,
Right.
and he says no butter was here.
It was part of the application that,
He's gonna announce it during the meeting that this is not going to take place.
But I didn't know that. I'm standing here
yeah.
listening to this, and I'm saying, okay, what
But
happened?
it will be covered during the meeting.
Okay.
Yeah, we have to cover it during
Well,
the
that's all I
meeting.
want to know.
Basically, there wasn't a proper butter notification. I didn't see any point of him sitting here all night to find out.
And it doesn't, it's not affect me,
Sure.
but I just wanted for the record.
No,
Thank you.
absolutely. Thank you for pointing it out. So, as we were saying, we're going to go through any just quick questions for the planning board, before we start. Then we'll go through the first appointment. I do have something to bring up as well before we get going. The applicant will present his application. People can speak for and against it. Please keep in mind we're all friends and neighbors here, so let's be polite. We'll open a public session before that for everybody. We'll close the public session, board will deliberate, we'll vote. Pretty straightforward stuff. So first I wanted to start off, there was a question raised about notification on the applications that we have here before us. Not the one that involved John over there, but some of the abutters got letters that were stamped that would probably be, I think they were 9 days when they came out. So obviously this has been a hot topic lately, so we did check, and what happened was they did go to the post office 11 full days in advance. And throwing out the day of the meeting plus the day
13.
of the 13 full days in
13,
advance? Okay.
yeah.
And the day they were sent in. They were stamped, certified by the post office on the 8th. The post office, for whatever reason, processed them, not that day, but that Monday. So the abutter notifications, what you would get would have said the, what was it, the 10th?
Mm-hmm.
So they went to the post office on the 8th. So just to be thorough, we did call the New Hampshire Municipal Law Association to confirm, that it's the date that they're stamped, not necessarily the date that they run through the post office. They ran through, went through their meter, and just so everyone's clear, it's the date that they are stamped, that they go by, and the stamps are, do I have them?
Certified slips?
Yep, certified slips, just in case anyone had any questions.
Well, the 10th puts them at 10 days anyhow.
no, because you can't count that day.
Yeah.
You can't
The
count the
day
day.
you mail it?
You can't count the day you mail it or the day of the meeting.
Yep. So in case
But these are
anybody,
stamped the 8th, which
wanted
actually,
to, and these are a matter of public record, so if anybody wants to look at them, they're up here. So, just so you guys know, because that was an issue that was brought up.
But they don't count the 10th.
Okay, does anybody have any questions for the board before we get started? Okay, great. So, scheduled appointments. First on the agenda this evening. Let's see what we got.
Merrimack.
Merrimack Valley Development Corp.
Okay, have a plan here, let me know what you want to do. I can put it up on an easel, or I can just throw it in
Stick it
the...
over here.
Throw it up there.
Okay. So while I set up for the record, my name is David Jordan, engineer and land surveyor with MHF Design Consultants, representing the property owner, Merrimack Valley Development Corp. So hopefully third time's a charm here. So we were here last month and the issue of the fact that we originally had come in with this as a private driveway with 3 lots. It is in fact, as the town's attorney determined, 4 lots on this private way because of the obligation to provide the abutter and also an easement to their property. So we've revised our plans to show this as a residential access street. It's 18 feet wide and paved with 2-foot gravel shoulders. So we've made that correction on the detail sheet, the third sheet of this plan set. There's been a lot of discussion about the location of this access way to the Ospey abutter back here. And just to state it for the record, this is the exact same location as it appeared on the 2006 subdivision plan that's on record at the Registry of Deeds. So again, new documents have been drafted to restate the access easement that already has been granted to the Ospey abutter, and at the same time we are formalizing the access easement need for the Snyder Trust lot at this location here.
If I could add to that, I did talk to Roger Murray today, who's the planning board attorney, and Roger confirmed, and I've also heard this from one other surveyor and another attorney, that as long as it's platted on the town-approved, that's where it is. So if it was platted, if that was shown there in the 2006 town-approved subdivision, that's what it is, and anything beyond that, even if the dominant parcel, which is the rear parcel, wanted to challenge it, it's then beyond the planning board, and that becomes a civil court matter. So just so you're aware, he also recommended that he felt the Snyder quitclaim was unnecessary since it already possessed the right-of-way to Durgan Road, and he felt it was superfluous, and it just made it a little uglier and it's cleaner without it.
Okay. Other than that, these lots are subject to the original covenants. I think there was some correspondence back and forth between our client's attorney and the town's attorney about possibly putting a note on the plan, just saying, restating that. We're fine with that. We haven't added it yet, but we can certainly add that if that's the condition of approval. We can add that before we present the Mylar for recording.
And as far as I know, Mr. Ford sent an email.
Yep.
And Roger also confirmed with your attorney that as far as the drainage easement on Mr. Ford's property, you guys were willing to release him.
We're absolutely willing. Yeah, we don't need it, so we're willing to release it.
Okay. I think we've beaten this one to death, so I think we got it, yeah.
So what attorney's saying is these 2 quitclaim easement deeds are not
You'll see, I think,
recommended?
yeah, there's one that was unnecessary, in his opinion. As soon as I can find that.
Snyder.
It's the Snyder one, it's in your pile.
Yeah, I have it. And he actually felt strongly that that should be left out.
Okay. But the other ones still apply.
Yes.
Only because it's a road now and not a private drive.
Carly.
Didn't say.
Yeah. I don't know. He was quite adamant about it.
Okay.
I have to admit, even though he doesn't answer the question directly, the guy definitely
Oh, yeah.
knows what he's talking about.
He's quite an equivocator, though.
Oh, yeah, if he can talk his
He's
way.
been practicing law for a long time.
Anybody got anything for me?
So this slope easement, is that staying?
No, that's the one that we said
That's
we
the one
can,
that's going away.
we can release, we don't need it.
Okay.
And you're okay with keeping the same covenants that everyone else in there is?
That's what he said, yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Yep.
So it doesn't have water.
And it'll be Shawview Road, is that the name you're gonna use?
Yes.
On the new plan, should show a stop sign. Does it show a stop sign in there?
I don't believe we do.
We should probably put one right here.
Yeah, that's fine. We can certainly add that.
So the stop sign would be on private road or on the town road?
To be on the private, the end of the private road.
Yes.
And you have elevations, what's the, how big is the drop right there?
It's not too bad, I mean, it's the end of the
Does it
road.
need a guardrail for that?
We should take a look at that. It's probably a 3-to-1 slope there.
Right.
It's about 12 feet high. This one corner right here. We're pretty much at grade here, at grade
Right.
there. It's just this back corner. Or we can push the slope out to avoid a guardrail. Just flatten out the slope more.
It's just a concern, that's all.
Pretty big drop off.
Throw five boulders.
Yeah, just,
Yeah, okay.
Board have any other questions before we open it up to the public?
no.
All right, so we're gonna open the public session. Is there anybody who would like to speak for the application? Is there anybody who would like to speak against the application? Is there anybody who has questions?
Looks good to me.
Can't
see it from my
Do you guys
house.
live up there?
No.
Oh,
No.
okay.
No.
So I was gonna say, we've seen this several times already, so if you wanted, we could have them kind of explain it a little better, but basically, it was a larger subdivision, it's becoming less houses, bigger lots.
Right,
It's
right, I'm
actually-
aware of a lot.
Yeah, it's actually a very good thing,
Yeah.
so. All right, so how's it going? So we're gonna close the public session at this point? I forget, do I need a motion to do that?
No.
Okay, all right, so we're gonna close the public session at this point. And does anybody on the board have any questions?
Like you said, we beat this.
Yeah, we've been through this.
Yeah.
I think we finally got this closed out without any
Blood.
blood or impending lawsuits or anything like that. This has been a messy one, so. All right. Do I have a checklist somewhere around here?
We just need, well, you do, it's somewhere there,
Oh,
but they've already gone through the easements and
yeah, we've been.
the right
through
of way
everything.
issue and.
Okay, so I think we just need to put some conditions on this. First condition is that it be subject to the covenants of the rest of the association. The removal of the
Schneider easement and the drainage easement.
the drainage easement, just show something on the plan that's got a little bit, something to stop a car from crashing off that cliff, whether it's some rocks or a guardrail. You went to college for a lot of years, I'm sure you can handle it.
Yeah.
What else do we got, if anything?
Stop sign?
Stop sign. I would probably just show on that plan, I would recommend it just in case it ever comes up, just say right away as originally shown on 2006, approved site plan, just to save somebody from looking later on when they go to ask about it. And is anybody else got
Is there
anything?
any monuments set there at all yet?
I don't believe so, no.
Okay.
Yeah, I have, so I have 8
Should be monuments in
conditions.
the certification.
Plus Leanne's conditions.
Yeah.
What do you got, Leanne?
No, all of them you said, except for the Mylar,
Right.
and then the monuments and certification of monumentation. Yeah. And then Matt reviewed the release of the drainage slope easement for the Ford lot.
Yep.
Add a note on the plan, subject to the original covenants per the 2006 approved subdivision plan. A new, the stop sign to
As
be
well as
depicted on the
street sign.
Shawview Drive, is that what it's gonna be
Yeah,
called?
as well as the street sign as well. so.
Oh, street sign?
Shawview Road.
Oh, road?
Yeah.
It's that Shawview Road here.
Yeah.
so-
Yep.
And then remove the Snyder easement, and then a guardrail or other construction,
To stop a car from crashing off the cliff.
right? And then a right-of-way as shown on the approved 2006 plan.
Cliff protection.
Yep.
Accessing the Ospey lot, we should probably specify.
Yep.
Yes.
240/4, I've read it enough times to. Does anybody else got anything? All right, can I get a motion to approve, subject to,
I'll make the motion.
I'll second.
all those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you for your patience,
Thank you very much.
and please express to the owners that it looks great, and sorry for having to come back multiple times with seemingly minor things.
It's all right. It's glad we're able to get it worked out.
All right. Next up, I think we have Hunter, the site plan review for.
I don't have that big thing in there. But you all have a packet. And so, I have 2 abutters here. 3?
Yep, sorry, 1, 2, yeah, just barely, but.
Oh,
Yep.
Mr. Meyer, yep.
Yes, yep.
Yep. So, do we have extra packets because you don't have 10 people here or not? I don't know, maybe you don't want that.
I may, I
You
just don't know if
can take
I.
mine, I'll look the other. I just want to make sure there's no legal correspondence. so. Very.
So this is my site plan review. No other,
There's a set right here.
oh, there is, wait a minute, I got a whole set right here, Brian.
We're giving this back.
Yep.
Yep.
Oh, I guess you got a set.
She's fast.
So anyhow, this is the site plan for my existing gravel pit. That was recommended by the state to the town, and the town voted it in a year and a half ago, a year and 3/4 ago. So I've done I've prepared my site plan review. You probably, have you read the letter? So it kind of explains everything in there. This is my map of my lot, my 20 plus something acres. Shows my existing area, which really shows with our aerial views from Google and stuff. And it's gonna stay within that same footprint when it's all done, if it's all done. It's kind of reading through it, self-explanatory, I believe.
I think for some of the abutters, we probably need to give you guys some background on all of this. Because if you were probably looking at this, were you done, Steve?
Yeah, I think they probably, some people need to digest what's in front of them,
So,
my guess.
so basically, the state came out with regulations called 155E, which are regulations governing sand pits, gravel pits, stuff like that. And this is going back a while, so I want to see if I can get the dates. But basically, if you were a pit in 1980,
It started in 79.
79, so if you were a pit that was in operation, you were supposed to file the town was supposed to adopt some regulations, you were supposed to file something with the state. In Tufton Borough, no one did. And Tufton Borough did not adopt regulations. And we weren't the only ones, by and large, this is happening all over the state. So the state is now beginning to come back and say, hey, you know, if somebody's gonna have a sander pit, you know, gravel pit, they need to, if they're not, you know, they didn't do this in 1984, they haven't been currently approved, they need to, you know, cease operations, or they need to become grandfathered with the town. And essentially, and we looked at everything we had in the town. We met with Mary Pinkham Langer in great detail on what we, you know, could do to work with the sand and gravel pits in the town so that they could continue to operate without having to start from day one of, you know,
ZBAs, site plan,
ZBAs
all that.
and everything else. So we worked with her and we figured out what we needed to do. We sent out notifications to all the active sand pits that had excavation permits within the town. And actually, I think Steve is the only one who has yet to come in, which they really should, because they come in and they can legally continue to operate, and if they don't, they technically can't. So, they are allowed to continue to operate as long as they stay within the confines of the area that they have open and grubbed out. By grubbed out, they mean, if I remember right, she said grubbed and stumped.
Correct.
Was her term. So that means they can't expand beyond the area that's grubbed and stumped. In other words, it's already opened up for excavation. And we went into a great deal of just confirming that, you know, you can continue to put stumps in a landfill, you know, such and so forth. Not a landfill, you know, that. And as long as it was in, I think, 5 feet above the water table, that was okay. So that's the background of what triggered all of this, which brings Steve here today and what brings you nice people here today as well. So just so you all understand. So.
Thank you.
That right, Steve?
Yeah, thank you. In a nutshell,
Yeah.
yes. It was a lot longer than that, but.
Yeah, it was a very painful process. But
Yeah, and the way we grandfathered in was anybody who had intent to excavate in 2014 and 15, those were the people that had active gravel pits and they were grandfathered in. And the state said we could do that because the town had been signing intents to excavate. So in reality, the town had grandfathered them. And that was the reason. We didn't just pick people out of the hat. That's how we came across this.
Yeah. But they have to come in and.
And the trigger was when the state was getting the intents to excavate, on the intents, there's a little line there for a permit number. And the permit's issued by the town, and no one had a permit number on it because no one was permitted. The only permitted pit in this town right now is the one on Sandy Knoll. Okay.
Sorry, didn't want to make the meeting longer, but
Right.
if you were looking at this from the outside, you'd be going, what are we talking about?
So what I did was I took the aerial map, or the aerial pictures, and then went out and did my own topo work, high points and low points and that sort of thing. That's how I came up with my map on the front half of my lot. The story kind of tells it. I think the story tells it very good. I'm leaving the high point on the lot.
And that's because you wrote the story, right?
What's that?
The story tells it well because you wrote the story.
Well, yeah. I was trying to cover all the bases. I don't think I have to read the story, but if somebody wanted to ask questions about the story.
Well, why don't we open up to the public and let's see what the people for and against. We're gonna open our public session, and if you're in a butter, please state your name and where you live. Anybody who would like to speak for the application?
The only question I have, Ed Meyer at 51 Federal Corner, and it's probably in here, I just obviously haven't read this, first I'm seeing it, but, so my understanding is you're just doing this really as like a formality, is that, like nothing's changing with the pit, I guess is what I'm getting at?
Right, not,
You're not expanding it, you're not
no,
maybe
I
using
can't
it
get any
more.
bigger, I can just go down, so to speak.
Okay.
In that confined, in that area that I've established.
Sure, yeah. Okay, so I mean, it's just business as usual, pretty much. This is just a formality with the planning board.
Right.
And does this have to, do you guys have to do this like every year or 5 years? It's just a one-time thing?
5 years.
We relook at it in 5 years, the permit's for 25.
Okay. So the permit will start this year if it's approved? Yeah.
Correct.
Okay.
So, and it says in there, I've been in there for 30 years.
Yep, yeah, you did
And,
not, that's it, right? Yeah.
So, and I haven't taken all the material out yet because it's not a commercial pit, so to speak.
Sure.
I got a question. William Ealer, 5 Federal Corner Road. Is there a possibility of expanding the pit?
So he has to,
You're saying he's only gonna operate on the open area that he has.
come on, up here.
Is there a,
So what he's proposing,
I know it's proposing,
yeah,
just to operate in the general area.
this area that's drubbed, and we'll probably discuss this more in a little bit of detail, what they call drubbed, meaning stumped, and open, which he has outlined, to what Steve is proposing, or what he believes it is the area he would have to stay within.
Yeah, but in the future, is he entitled to expand?
He has to come back.
Not without a,
Not outside of the area he's already in.
Right.
you would have to come back for another
I think
permit.
I'd have to go to the
You
ZBA
have to go to
first.
ZBA
Yes,
for
right.
expansion.
He's,
Right.
any area that was open, the stumps were removed.
Right.
And it was cleaned out and ready to excavate, he can excavate.
Right.
Some of it might be grown in because he hasn't used that part in a
Yeah.
while.
Well,
But
yeah.
it has, grass and bushes and all that. That still was stumped and open.
Yeah.
But if they came back,
As it
this is
was-
the
But
grandfather.
he's not locked into just having.
Right now he is.
Right. But
But
in
if
the
he comes
future,
back, he
can
has
use
to
the
go
rest.
all the way to the ZBA, the whole thing like a brand new
But there is a
pit.
process to do.
There is a
it.
process to do
Yeah.
that, correct.
Okay.
This is basically so he can continue to operate.
Right.
It doesn't remove him from having to,
You're not restricting him forever and ever and ever, just
No.
using that
and it,
part of the
and it
lane.
doesn't remove him from reclamation. When a pit's closed, it has to be reclaimed.
Right.
It doesn't remove that responsibility. We're not grandfathering in environmental stuff, or whatever. This is just so it can continue to operate as it has within the confines of what it is as a sand and gravel.
Yeah.
So, anybody else?
Mary Beth Hotel, 35 Federal Corner. So when does the reclamation start? When you run out of
Or when I finish
marketable?
an area,
Okay,
if I finish one side, for example,
yeah.
then I would finish
When
that.
you decide there's nothing left there, you have to
Right.
start to.
Right, then I'd retain it and slope it.
And who makes that decision?
Is when the trigger is, I believe the trigger is when the pit ceases to operate.
Okay,
Or that section.
not so.
There's nothing left to take out.
Who decides that?
The owner and the assessor and myself.
Okay.
I'm not sure, does the state,
New for me.
there's this,
The state only has the rules, they have no enforcement. Mary Pinkham Lyon works for DRA, it's a tax purpose only. So they have the rules, we have to.
And how deep can you go? How deep can you go?
you can, in a sand pit, you can basically go within a certain distance of the water table.
Water table.
Yeah.
Okay.
You're not allowed to get, I think it's 5 feet, I don't know.
It's 4 or 5 feet,
Because sand pits, what people normally do is they exhume sand and they put back in stumps. So a lot of what they don't want is stumps near the water table, stuff like that. So,
So I guess I'm just wondering, against my property line, how deep are we? How much further could we go? 'Cause I know
Well,
it's pretty steep now.
yeah, it kind of explains that a little bit on your side.
Yeah.
In here somewhere, we're at 785 on the, out on the power line, the access road,
Yeah.
and then it goes up to 815 along your property line there, and I'm already down back in here at 800 over where the sand area is.
So you're pretty much there.
Yeah, so this side is basically
Done.
gotta go down maybe 10 feet right in there,
Okay.
from what it is.
Okay.
But that whole
So the scout
closeness
cliff
to it is never gonna be touched, probably, that'll remain as it is.
as is
What's close there,
pretty much
all the
what
way
it is.
around it will be all left.
And who calculates the water table?
The water table, there is calculations, there's books that have where they are and test pits.
Yeah, I was just wondering
And
how
I'd
much
have
deeper it's
water
gonna
there if I
get.
was in the water table,
Okay.
visual, so to speak.
So it might just get a little deeper on the property.
Yeah, my intent is, and I think it says it in my letter, on my story.
I know, I haven't
on
seen
my
it
story.
either, so, okay.
To get down to that 785 is out there, and the bottom of my gravel area is 790, and that's kind of what I wanted to
Pretty
maintain that
close.
area as.
Okay.
So,
There's a lot of low spots that are dug and high spots, so it's just gonna end up being level at the end, pretty
Right.
much.
I don't know what
With a
the
2-to-1 slope on the
future
end.
use will be, whether it be an orchard or,
he's got it written as 1-to-1.
Right, 1-to-1, yeah, it's, like I say, side slopes are soil dependent. Sand will seek its own grade, loam will seek its own grade, and it'll grow, so. There's no calculation written of what the slope has to be. It's soil specific.
I mean, realistically,
It's
it's
just
been,
steep.
it's been 30 years, so it could be another 30 before the pit's done, essentially. If you're only taking a truckload a year, it's like, it could essentially be a pit forever if
I
you don't
don't
ever
think
finish
that-
it.
right, right,
I don't
in
think
theory.
that pit's gonna be done in any of our lands.
Yeah, I mean, obviously, it's not a major
Bring it
commercial
back to
pit.
the
No,
I would be
no,
hearing that
I don't
stuff.
have somebody in there.
Yeah,
It's-
so it could never be finished and reclaimed. It could just be a pit for the next 30 years, I mean, or
Right.
forever, yeah.
As long as it continues.
As long as I can drive my truck, I hope it's a pit.
Yep,
You know.
yeah, I hear you.
Well,
Okay.
it's a
When
nice
they
new
tell me I
truck,
can't
so-
drive my truck anymore, then I thought,
Yeah,
That's why I bought an
Yeah, but that's
automatic.
gonna be for a long
Yeah,
time.
that's right.
I mean, this pit's gonna be open for a really long time, yeah.
I think I only have two concerns. One is because of the depths you're talking about operating in a 1-to-1 slope without any engineering, I would be, if you were gonna go to a 1-to-1 slope on that, I would want an engineer to sign off on it, and that's just for
It
liability.
says 2-to-1 here.
Yeah, 1-to-1.
2-to-1.
no, my neighbor's property.
Existing grade is 1-to-1.
Right,
Existing grade 1-to-1?
Finished grade 2-to-1.
right.
The wooden truss side.
Then I have no objection to that, they're a wonderful thing. And then the only other thing I would recommend is as we are running in, we're probably gonna do more of these, is I would just recommend that maybe Jack and myself just walk the perimeter and just blaze and flag the scrub area, if you don't have any objection. And that's something I think that we should do with all of them
Yeah,
as they
yeah,
come in.
yeah.
That's a good idea. Yeah,
So I-
so
Just
everybody's
so
on the
that
same page.
Everybody says, and that way.
No, I think that's a good idea. So it kind of has these three property lines, and then I have
Could be
an
25 years from
interior
now.
stone
Yeah,
wall.
and I
That
think,
would help.
I mean, it's probably gonna take about 20 minutes, just,
Yeah.
and then we'll do.
Tomorrow?
It's too warm tomorrow.
In the rain, that would be
Yeah,
so
yeah,
good.
it's too warm tomorrow. The Wait about 12 below.
Well, that way down the line, there's never a question, like,
Right.
oh, he's beyond, hey, we walked it, the blazes will be there,
Summer
so as long as you don't mind us.
Well, that's why,
Whacking some
yeah, no,
trees.
that's why I
Yep.
put that interior stone wall in there.
Yep, yeah. So you mark it and you take, and you memorialize it with pictures and.
No,
See,
you
these
just-
are,
you
we
just-
could almost update this
What
every
I'm saying is
year.
if, while you're out there, you take pictures, then you get a photographic record of everything as.
It's 5
as it
years
was.
that we look at it.
Yeah, and then the only other thing I would say, just to cover
It's
it
so
down,
steep.
I'm sorry.
I was just wondering when it would go to 2-1 on my property line and get reclaimed.
Whenever he,
Just 'cause
Yeah, I'm not
it's
sure,
so
it
cheap, I
kind of
was just
depends on, I mean, I only hauled 300-400 yards out of there this year.
If I had
Because
to
I
guess,
got most of my stuff done
I would say about
by Gary's.
2,095.
All right. Well, I won't have to worry about it then.
Yeah. The only other thing I would recommend, just to cover the town, is to say, this doesn't alleviate, the condition is not an alleviation of any required state,
Right.
permits. It is not, this is for the purposes of sand and gravel excavation, not to grandfather any activities beyond, sand, gravel, normal activities of a pit, stumps, things like that, so.
You put a lot of work into this, Steve.
What's that?
You put a lot of work into it.
Well, yeah, I've been,
Put
you
this
know, everybody
together.
says, when you gonna do it, get it in, get it in.
Yeah.
And it's pecking away, but I get it, it's been a, I don't wanna say it out loud, but I will, it's been a good experience too, and I've learned a lot by sitting at these meetings.
Yeah.
And
You're the guinea pig on this one.
it's been good
Right.
for me.
Please spread the word to the other pits that this is not,
No.
this is not a.
Well, I'm confused by it a little bit. I don't
One other quick
okay.
question, is there any limit to what he can take out per year? I mean, could he max it out and?
No, that's a tax issue.
Okay.
I mean,
I mean,
the
could
dirt
there
is
trucks
one
in
thing,
there all
but
day, every day, for if you wanted to? Not that he would, it's a small pit, but
Yes.
if you wanted to
Right.
just strip it clean in a year, you could just go around the clock and strip it if you wanted to?
no, it'll be hours. We'll put hours on this, though.
Yeah. I mean, I guess that's my question, like, there's no risk of it being like a 7-day-a-week, all kinds of noise operation, I take it, right?
No,
I mean, obviously the way it's been, I don't hear much noise back there, but,
it's not my intent.
yeah, okay.
We should probably put hours and
Yeah.
days of operation in, and we should do that kind of across the board.
Across the board, but
But
we did in the other one, we did 7 to 5, noon time on Saturdays, I believe it was, or 1 o'clock on Saturdays, if I remember correctly, so.
It's pretty reasonable. I don't think you have the butters here if you happen to run in and out of there on a Sunday or,
No,
object too
I
much.
mean, whatever he's been doing has been fine, it hasn't been bothered, but,
What you don't want to do is wake up in the middle of the night and hear
yeah,
somebody
Jake, quick.
running
yeah.
No, the tailgate's the worst.
digging it out,
Right,
running
bang.
across conveyors
It's
and.
the bang.
Yeah, yeah.
So, yeah, I'm trying to understand, I totally don't understand the gravel, I should understand the whole gravel pit thing, but I don't, I guess. So you can just keep digging forever to 2095, and there's no reclamation plan until,
The reclamation doesn't come until you are in an area where you can't not go any further,
okay,
and then it gets reclaimed.
so dig out my line and then reclaim it.
Okay, yeah.
Alright.
Yep.
Which
Is
is
that
So,
what
I
I'm
mean, it's
looking-
kind of-
Is that what I'm looking
See,
for? That's
it's-
kind of what I'm
it's
looking
the
for.
way
I
it's
kind of want to
done.
know.
Like on Sandy Knoll Road, just for instance, the way that was done, that's a huge giant piece of land.
Right.
And they did 5-acre swaths of what they can only disturb 5 acres at a time.
Okay.
Obviously, you can't finish phase 1, that 5 acres, and then phase 2, the next 5 acres. Obviously, part of that won't get reclaimed
Yeah,
because you have to dig
yeah,
into the next
yeah.
part. But
Yeah.
that's how that was done. This isn't as large as that is.
Right. Okay.
Is
This-
reclaiming
this has a
at
part
his
that's
cost, I
open.
mean, essentially? And does it involve bringing in material, topsoil?
No, I think you read that. I have enough material on site too.
So you basically
Cleans
just smooth
off
it out,
what it is.
essentially?
Yeah.
But I mean, if I was a pit owner, I would basically just never strip the pit, so that I don't have to spend the money to reclaim
Reclaim.
it essentially, but, I mean, that's doable, I guess? You could just never really finish, that way you don't have to reclaim
You can
legally?
take a load a year.
One load a year and just kind of keep it going?
I
Yeah,
own a property in Ossipee,
Yeah.
and Pike Industries is behind us, and they come in and they take one load a year.
Yeah, just to keep it an active pit, yeah. Yep, that's no problem, I'm just curious more than anything, but-
Yeah, basically, they had to go in, they had to grade down the slopes, smooth
Yep.
everything out. Anybody else in the public? All right, so we'll close the public session. What do we got?
You talking to me?
No. Well,
I didn't know if you were gonna have me read off.
so I think for conditions, we have a site walk with Jack and I, Blaze, and flagged, rubbed out perimeter, which we do with everybody. That this does not alleviate any state requirements beyond this. This does not grandfather any activities other than normal pit activities, which would be things such as stumps, deposits of rocks, things like that. Hours of operation will be, what did we say, 7?
MF 7.5, Saturday 7, 1,
Oh,
12, wow.
7 to 12, sure. No one's gonna work that extra hour, they'll go to lunch anyway. What else do we have? Leanne?
that's all I had. Did you want a note on the plan that it was blazed, or? That's
Yeah,
fine.
we'll
Or
put
the note on
something-
the plan, there should be a note on the plan
We'll
regarding the
put
hours of
something,
operation.
right, another plan as well, are you gonna walk with us?
I can,
So we can bring a plan and we can show where we blazed. on the
Okay.
Plan, how's that?
Yep.
Or we'll bring a topo. I mean, we'll bring a,
Yeah.
that'll be easier.
Oh, photographs, I
Yeah.
think Bill wanted photographs.
Yeah.
A photographic inventory.
Yeah, we'll mark it on one of these, and then
Yeah.
we'll put that into the file. And then we'll take some photographs if there's a
Okay.
question, put it in the file.
So that's 4.
And then, just for, do you have anything marking there where you took these elevations?
No, I didn't,
Okay.
but I know where they are, so
Okay.
I could mark them
So if we
myself.
could just blaze in those points as well as, just the perimeter that's done, just so, some of the higher elevations, I mean, like the road entrance coming in and a couple
You
of
know,
others.
it's probably not a bad idea, just bring a couple iron pipes and drive it in and mark those elevations on the plan. Just thinking 20 years from now, God only knows what, We've already, we see that already. And,
You need a place to put LED light bulbs or something.
yeah, I don't know, yeah. And again, with the iron, maybe a few iron pipes and a couple elevations, let's do that with all of
Yeah.
these as they come through.
So, flagging items, state permit, yeah.
Got anything?
Nothing you hadn't talked about.
No.
All right. I need a motion to approve with the conditions listed.
So moved.
Second.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Oh, will you give me a copy of those,
A notice of
the
decision.
notice of those
Yeah.
4 or 5?
I'll mail it to you.
Okay.
Unless you want me to leave it here, I can do that.
And I can't sign this until the conditions are met, or remember that
Correct.
correctly?
So, yeah, the hours will be on approval.
All right, so congratulations.
Thank you. Thank you.
Steve, what's your
Thank
name?
you for coming out. What's that? Wouldn't have missed it.
State State's not regulated.
So what I'll do is I'll mail you the notice of decision, it will be signed, just to give you a check.
And then I'll just wait to hear from,
Yes, and they'll schedule it.
And then you'll get a permit that you post. And,
that'll be different than my intent.
correct, there'll be a permit, there'll be a number on, you'll be able to put the number on the intent, as well as you'll have to pick someone as a designee spill cleanup person. Whether it be Clean Harbor's phone number or someone else. It just has to be on the permit, that's all.
Oh, on that permit.
Correct.
I see.
So you just go
If I went
designate.
over and looked at the other people's permit, I'd know how to put that. Perfect.
So, that's part of the 155B, so.
Okay.
Well, I don't think we have to continue this, we never.
No,
accepted
no,
that.
but you know what I mean, for the record.
Oh, yeah, sure.
Just say-
Well, this is my
say what
registered
happened
letter.
For the record.
And it is dated,
Is it in writing?
The 8th?
the 8th,
Okay.
so it verifies.
Oh, no, that's from here. That's the machines.
Oh, I
the
see,
eighth.
machine here.
Then they went down there.
Oh, I see, okay. Perfect.
Hey, it's better to be thorough.
So it says, what it says on there December 10th.
That's when they process them at the post office.
So that gives, but you can't count that day, is that what you're saying?
Can't count the day they were mailed, the day of the hearing.
Hey, we all learned something out of it. Okay, we have,
Still got a question.
Yeah, I do. It doesn't seem like it's enough, like, that's like this, like the water tables and all that, the state doesn't make like, I just trying to understand, because I'm gonna have hopefully people living out there, so, the state doesn't like make any test pits for the water table, or what's the guidelines, like AOT involved in this, or?
There's no AOT because it's already
Nothing against,
gran-
I'm just trying to understand, I really,
It's
I
already,
should, but I
it's
don't.
already grandfathered in, so the
Okay.
AOT would come from the very beginning if they started from scratch. If he does more,
Okay,
and it's over 100,000
this,
square feet,
this
then
was,
the AOT comes into it, anything new.
okay, but
Test-
not,
test pit.
he's already there, and he's already existing, okay. So there's no regulations really, I mean, there'd just be a test pit, it's just gonna be a pit forever, really.
Not necessarily, but
Well,
realistically, probably, because
realistically,
it wouldn't be probably not
because they
taken
waive their
out to.
magic one, which I don't know, I mean, it's not a problem, I mean, it's not like
Right.
it's a crazy, pit up
Right.
there or anything. I never even hear you, but, I'm just wondering, I'm trying to get it.
Make a little more noise, will you?
Yeah, I
No,
guess so.
no,
By the time
No.
you go to bed, anyway.
Play music.
I'm
Oh,
just,
no, I
I'm just
get it.
trying to understand,
Get
but,
yourself a
so he's
steam whistle.
grandfathered, so it's a grandfathered,
Right.
it's a grandfathered thing, okay.
And it's just that now it's regulated because it's contained to a certain
If
area.
he was to expand, or if he
If
was
he
gonna
could-
open a new pit.
If he was gonna continue back, there was nothing that was opened,
So
then it
basically,
would start from scratch.
what you're gonna see is the same thing you have seen forever,
Forever.
okay?
Right.
If he was gonna expand, then he's gotta go to ZBA, get a variance, go through all of the stuff with AOT, all the, you know, engineered drawings, all that kind of stuff that's, a lot of work to get there. And I think basically represents, this is a change from what's been going on. So we're gonna go in a different direction. At that point, you could expect that what you're exposed to is,
I don't remember what she said about AOTs, Mary Pinkham Langer. I mean, if it's over 100,000 square feet, I mean, he
Well,
maybe, but that's a state and that's not us.
yes, right,
So-
right. It's whatever's required in the
And that's why I thought it was important.
statute and
And that's why I
regulation.
thought it was important to put in as a condition that, you know, this does not exempt from state. But,
So even when you're grandfathered, you can go as deep as you want until you hit 5 feet from the water table. I mean,
Yeah, it's any pit, yeah, anything.
there's no,
Any pit can go that deep.
okay,
Most of them don't because it's more work.
right.
It's a huge reclamation.
What happens to
because
change of ownership?
Change of ownership, the approval goes with the property, but the permit does not. They have to come back in for a new permit for a new owner. But the approval's still there, but they have to get a new permit for a new owner. And it'll be the same thing, they gotta choose things and they still have to come in every 5 years. We get to look at it every 5 years. But the permit doesn't transfer, but the use does.
What, you wanna buy it?
Do I want to buy it? Oh, wait, you looking at him or me?
You'd have to pay me to take it.
I guess that's.
Well, I'm guessing the price is not right then.
Thank you.
Okay,
Okay.
thanks, Steve. Nice job.
Thank you. Thank you for coming out as a butters.
Yeah,
I
just
think
wanna
that's an obligation that people should
get it.
take more seriously, myself. If you get a notice, you should come whether you're in favor or not, or whatever, but that's
Well,
my opinion.
particularly if you don't know everything about it. The hearing is a
Either
place
way,
where you
I think
can
you should.
get yourself educated and ask any questions.
Alright.
What else you got on your list?
Sorry?
Do you have any other questions?
No, I think I'm good. Yeah.
Just want to make sure.
Okay, thank you.
Oh, let's just go over this for the public record, because we had the question come up earlier. The Little Cricket.
Little Cricket Realty.
Little Cricket Realty, it was discovered that they, one of the abutters was not notified, so we could not hear the application. So we let the applicant know, or the applicant's agent know, and that the abutter that was missed needs to be rectified, and we're gonna have to do that at the next meeting. Next on the agenda, we have an application for a voluntary merger. Jack has reviewed it. It is on One Cow Island. It's a case of they could not fit the septic system in on the existing lot, so they have to merge two of them that they have. Voluntary mergers are permitted under the interstate law, Kentucky Rural Zoning, such and so forth. Did anyone take a look at it and see anything they had questions about?
It's right there.
Huh?
It's right there.
Oh, thank you.
There's no plans right here for it, it's just a deed.
See you guys.
So
We have
basically,
two abutting
See ya.
lots, owned by
Thank you.
the same person, they merged them.
they're merging it.
Gotta ask whether you can expand it or not, you know?
Yeah, no, yep, that's right, no, yeah, you didn't know that I did.
Oh, I'm in your way, huh?
Yes, you are, thank you very much.
Yeah, I knew the procedures.
They don't make match, so.
You might want it someday. You never know.
Quite a bit.
See you guys later.
Busy, thank you.
Yeah, that looks good, man.
All right, can I get a motion to approve the
I'll make a motion.
merger?
I'll second that.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Can I have the, where's the lot order? Thank you.
All right, what do we have next on the agenda?
Zoning amendments.
Zoning amendments. Let's get back to everybody's favorite topic, which is residential tenting and recreational vehicles. We've been through this one a few times.
Yeah, why we bring getting it back later?
We're getting it back because the last time that the board discussed it, even though they decided to table further discussion and not move forward with a zoning change, Jack was not present, and Jack is the person who actually brought it forth before the board last year, so.
I can't vote on it though.
But if you wanted to speak to it, and then if the board chooses still not to bring it forward, then we can have a motion.
Jack is the person that enforces
I can't
this.
vote on things I enforce, so.
Right, he enforces it, and I think this thing came about because of some challenges in the way the wording is currently written in the ordinance, right?
Right.
So,
Well, I think we had some pushback the last time.
I like the way it was worded before, but we said any of the below, and it wasn't worded right, that's all. The original one that we had changed before. That would be- Do you have the old one, Leanne?
Oh, before this, did you look at this?
I did.
That's gonna take me a second if it was before this one.
I think the other issue.
No, this is it, this is the change.
Oh, okay.
I think the other issue we had was we had pushback on the fact that you could have a 1 acre lot that's allowed 1 recreational vehicle and 2 tents. And you can have a 250 acre lot that's allowed 1
Yeah.
recreational vehicle and 2 tents. So-
Right, and I would push that you could have one up to 5, and then over 5 you could have more.
Why don't we do, 1 recreational vehicle and 2 tents per lot, lot, and then 1 extra tent per acre thereafter, up to
Yeah, but with a lot.
a lot of record. So you own a piece of land,
You can have 1 RV and 2 tents.
2 tents,
Correct.
and then as the lot gets bigger, you can have more tents.
But what's the size limitation from the 1 to the more?
For each acre thereafter.
Okay, acre.
All right,
Acre after what?
after the first buildable, not buildable, the first lot of record. So if you
It
had,
doesn't make sense, because your lot of record could be 10 acres,
Or 200.
or 200
Okay.
acres.
a lot,
Here we go.
right, and
Yes.
depending upon where in town it is, you have different size lots too.
Right, I mean, our smallest is,
I
I mean, there is halves, but the smallest right now is 1. 2 and
All lots in town shall be entitled to have a recreational vehicle and and 2 tents.
correct.
They will, large lots, you know, lot,
You have to pick a number and above.
Yeah.
you know, lots 5 acres and above can have 1 additional tent per acre.
But no more RVs.
How many RVs do we,
I mean,
you know?
I remember a year or so ago, the initial discussion of this, and what I remember is you guys talking about when you were growing up, I wish I could remember this better. It's before we even got to the limiting, that it seemed
Well-
kind of silly because you would come and do things and it wasn't such an issue, so
Well, when I was
what's practical?
Yeah, when I was a 17-year-old and we were camping out in the woods, the number of tents we had would have been the least infraction we had,
Correct.
you know, going on. So, but,
When was the last time you had this issue?
I guess you had this issue last spring, didn't you?
Was that a year and a half ago? You haven't had the issue since?
No. I'm just bringing it out there, I can't vote on it.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying, I don't think it's,
You
I
know,
don't think it's,
What do you usually see?
we don't need to keep over-regulating
usually just
if
one.
we don't have an
Usually just
issue.
one.
It's
So
usually just
this
one, but
probably won't be,
we just don't want to create a private campground, that's all.
right,
And not have any restrictions, and I can't say you can't do this,
yeah,
that's all.
yeah.
yeah, I mean, nobody's gonna have.
I'm not, you know, I mean, they're all over, I mean, there's a permit, it's $30 and it's good for a year. And there's ones, you know, Memorial Day weekend or whatever, someone comes up and their kid comes up from Virginia in a pop-up and they're in the house for a weekend and
Yeah,
it's not a big deal, but it's the ones that are there. They
every weekend.
buy a piece of land and they put one on it, which is fine, and all of a sudden 7 friends show up in their RVs and all that. And it's, no, it's just,
Yeah.
it's an environmental thing as well as, you know, you can enjoy your property, you don't want 6 RVs next to you. All right, that's just the issue, you know. Not saying you can't do what you want on your property, but there is some.
You could put properties 5 acres and over can apply for a special, you know,
You want it's
event permit.
just,
Hey, tax, I mean, you can charge for that.
Special exception of 5 acres or more?
no, you know, special exception.
No,
It's
just
just
a event per,
I mean, people come in, I think I have 6 every year that people come in every spring and get one for the year. And how long they're here, I don't know,
Okay.
but, and then there's some that come in for 1 weekend.
So if you did do what you are suggesting, 5 acres and above, you can apply for a special dispensation or whatever. The likelihood of that happening is probably small,
Right,
given,
I mean, I would just have them come in for another permit, that's all, just so
Right.
you know where they are and how long they've been,
Yeah.
there, so you can keep an eye on it, you just don't wanna issue a permit, you say you have 50 acres, all right, you're allowed 30 units now, because every acre and above, you can have one, but, you know,
you could
so.
put lots 5 acres and above can come in for a special tenting permit with 1 tent per acre. You know, somebody's got 150 acres, they can have 150 tents. Guy's got 20 acres, they can have 20 tents.
Well, is tents the issue or is RVs the issue?
It's both. I mean, they don't all have RVs, not everybody has an RV, but it's just.
It
something
seems
brought
from what
up.
I've observed have been multiple RVs.
In a lot of
as
towns,
opposed
there's
to-
a limit, you know, for the time,
yeah.
and there is a time on here, and it's, you know, that's usually.
What do other
They-
towns do? How do they handle it? Maybe we should look at some of
Some
the-
don't, I've called around different towns. I mean, Alton
Maybe we
is,
see how-
Alton's kinda like this year one, and there is
Well, Ossipee does
dates.
nothing.
Ossipee, it's a second
Wide
home.
open, yeah.
Marlboro doesn't even allow them.
Wolfboro doesn't.
Wolfboro, I don't think Wolfboro allows them either.
I think you're right.
Yeah, I don't think they.
I mean, I don't think it's a restriction that should happen that you can't do it, but I think there should be a little limit on it, because obviously you can't, because our rules state if the house has a septic, fine and dandy, but septics are based on bedrooms. So you have a 3-bedroom house and you have 7 RVs in the yard and they're using the house bathroom, it's not a good thing. So,
Right. No, and the RVs are, you know, they're basically houses, a lot of them.
pretty much, oh yeah.
You know. And somebody's gonna get creative and plug the RV into the septic.
They do that and it's totally allowed,
Yeah.
it is allowed. So.
So,
They had special hookups for some of them. I
So.
mean,
We have that on ours over at the lake.
Oh yeah. I mean, there's
When I put that new
24
septic
houses
system
around,
in,
we have a new
I put a hookup there.
There's one across.
I don't think we've ever used it, but
I seen
the,
it.
the hookup's there.
I know,
Yeah.
I seen it.
It's allowed, yeah.
why
It was
do
just
they-
it was just a way to keep track. That's all I was doing. I wasn't trying to restrict someone's property. It was just kind of
I didn't
if
know-
it's there, they'd kind of come in and say, "Here, I'm gonna purpose this new fine and dandy." But now I know that there's 2 RVs there and a couple tents.
Yeah,
Or,
Like Matt is saying, that let's say minimum lot 5 acres to have this, 1 RV, one, and then the maximum lots above that, 1 per acre or 1 per 2 acres, but there has to be a maximum, because we can have a private entity. There should be a maximum of some kind, you can't, you know, if a guy has 200 acres, we're gonna want to have 200 tents. Or
it
something.
takes 20 acres to produce a campground. So
I didn't have a problem with 1 recreational vehicle and 2 tents.
I didn't either.
You know.
well, the thing that got
That was
changed
good.
here was the time.
Yeah,
I mean,
Yeah.
right.
But yeah, I think Leanne felt strongly about it, that you should be allowed to have more, if you have more acreage and this and that, but it's,
Can we open this up?
I did too.
Yeah.
I thought that.
I do too. I mean,
by all means, guys.
Seems like it'd be easier just to leave it 1 RV, 2 tents, and if someone has 2 RVs responsibly, it's not a big deal, you know? But if someone puts a bunch of RVs on it, it becomes a party and a problem, you can point to the paperwork and say, this says 1, so,
Yeah, I think that's a good, just leave it the way it is.
you know, it doesn't seem like it's a big problem, I wouldn't think, I don't know. Maybe by the water, I'm guessing this is more of an issue?
No,
I don't
it wasn't-
see-
no, it's
it
actually
wasn't-
not. You know,
No?
It's about as far from the water as.
Oh, yeah, maybe this is happening where I don't drive by, I don't know, I mean, I'm not cruising around town all over, but
The thing is,
I don't see RVs
the
and tents
acreage,
anywhere.
the acreage is really less significant, because when the RVers come together, they're gonna all pool up on
Oh, certainly.
one small
Oh,
area.
yeah.
So whether you got 125 acres, or you got
But
1
they could
acre of
be-
land.
But they could be further away from the road and what have you, so. Because
Well, that's
it
true.
used to say, I don't know, we don't have the other section of this, but as inconspicuous as possible. It's on the page prior to this, this is just the change,
Yep.
so.
I have a question.
We can push that part of it, so.
Sure.
We got Bike Week, and I've already talked with Jack, and I had a problem with this guy up on 171. I don't even live there, and it just bothered me, as, you know, it just looked like, it's just a personal thing. So we have 1, 2 trailers, 1 or 2 tents, I don't know how big the property is, okay, I don't know whether he's got the septic system up there, okay?
Here's a porta potty.
Porta potties, all right. My next question is, where's Jack Parsons on the weekend? Are you working Saturday and Sundays when people come up? Well, somebody ought to be able to
Sometimes.
enforce it. Well, if you're in charge, I mean, you know, I have a problem with that.
You don't pay me overtime, I'll work that.
Well, that's fine, we'll mention it to the selectmen next time we see him. There's one sitting right there.
No, the police
Some-
department.
I do work
doesn't
Saturday
want
and
it.
Sunday, put it that way.
Some
Once in a
people
while.
abuse the
I know
privilege,
that.
okay? And that's the problem, okay? You don't mind, okay, it's your property, you have to put your stuff up there, okay? But don't blow it out of proportion, okay? That's just my opinion, all right? That's the only one I
I think
see.
you're right, and a lot of this stuff is to kind of keep everybody within a certain set of bounds, because it's not the 2 guys that are gonna have RVs there that are in their 70s and are gonna sit around a small fire with their buddies. It's the heavy partiers that at
The younger.
3 o'clock in the morning are gonna have a huge bonfire going out there and be whooping and hollering, and, you know, you live a quarter mile down the road and the noise is bothering you all night. That's the kind of thing, so how do we keep that in balance? I think try to just run it the way it is, and, you know.
That's what I think.
And if we try and build too many little, oh, if you have this, and you can do this, you have this, and you can do this, you know, it's an attempt to keep everything reasonable.
You presently do that now, as you sit at that table. You have all these people coming up with different things, gravel pit, this property, that. You do that now, okay? You put restrictions on what people can do with their property and what they can't, okay? I used to think Fenton's not here to defend himself, but where you live, Mountain Valley, Shadows,
Mountain
okay?
Shadows.
Yeah.
All right, and there's a lot of lots that are unbuilt there, so at the time I was thinking, gee, Benton, why don't you just bring in all the trailers? You know, you can have a little campground over there, and there's no law saying that
Their
you can't do
covenants
that.
don't allow that.
Right.
Who's not gonna allow it?
Their covenants don't
Covenants
allow it.
in the association don't allow that.
Covenants, you know, they're here today and gone tomorrow. All right, I said my piece, thank you for listening.
Thank
I'm
you.
on record if you wanna listen to it again.
I think, I mean, if this says one RV and two tents, which, again, as I said, I have no problem with.
I don't either, I think it's good the way.
I would say just in over 5 acres, you can come in for another permit. That's all I would say. Then you'll know.
Yeah, I
That's
think
all.
there should be an avenue
Simple.
for,
Like, if my son was gonna graduate from college and he was gonna have all his buddies up and they were gonna tent in the yard, one, I would do it anyway. And
I know.
two, none of you, you know, you would probably never get called,
No,
you know, because they wouldn't, you know, be,
it's the ones that are there all summer.
yeah, so. I guess that's the way
the
to
only thing.
kind of look at it.
So I'm a little confused. Want to make sure. So, are you adding that language, Jack, to
I would-
what we're proposing?
I
What you're
would-
proposing?
I would write it as limit to one recreational vehicle and two tents. Use permitted October 15th through October. You know, what were we thinking, larger, you know, larger numbers can come in for a permit.
Whatever. Yeah, something like that, yeah.
You know,
More numbers.
Just, you know, if someone complains and
yeah.
it becomes an issue, then you
So you
know.
could still get 6 on a 1 acre lot if you came in and got
But then-
permission.
Pretty much.
Larger numbers of tents and RVs.
Additional.
Additional tents or RVs are available by permit.
or might be available.
I go to one over on the other side of the lake.
Make it right
and it's
there, on the left.
40 RVs
Yeah,
on
I've seen
2
one
acres.
RV parked there.
Yep.
And put that
That's
with.
how
Or,
that's
like,
how it
parties.
rolls, whether the neighbors like it or not.
It's big party week,
Not-
that's gonna happen, right?
Right, so if you don't have anything in place, you can't take and regulate it.
Okay, how's this sound,
So we have
everybody?
this one.
Limit to one recreational vehicle and two tents at a time. Additional tents or RVs may be available by permit.
Yep.
It doesn't
Yeah, that's
guarantee it, and
Yeah,
it doesn't
maybe it's
deny
better
it.
than.
Yeah.
Right.
Use permitted October 15th through
Yeah,
October.
I'll just ask the question, what are you gonna do with the sewage?
Yeah.
Now, if they're gonna be self-contained and leave with it, have at it. If
Yes,
you got a porta
yes.
potty, have at it. If you're in the middle of the woods somewhere,
Yeah, you gotta be able to account for your,
that's the biggest thing, is
Sure.
account for the
Sanitation.
waste. That's where the reason for this started, so.
and then when you deny someone because it's gonna be, you know, obnoxious, they can go to the selectmen and complain because it says may. And it won't be our problem, it'll be Bill's.
Right.
Need a motion?
And that's Monday and they've already left,
Yeah.
right?
Right, right.
All right, so can I get a motion
I'll make it.
To move to public hearing.
to move to public hearing? You'll make it?
I'll make it.
Can we
I'll
have-
second it.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Please note that Jack could not vote because.
Bill abstained.
All right. Do we have anything else?
Well, you got the other,
The second part,
Oh, God.
you got the Second Amendment.
All right, Second Amendment. If after a lifetimes, if after a permit has been authorized by the board, such permit is not lifted from the office of the codes enforcement officer within a period
Yeah, thanks.
of strike 6 months and change it to 2
I didn't
years
know this was in.
from the date of authorization. Then
request of
such
ZBA.
authorization shall be null and void. Strike and no permit shall be issued thereunder. Change to unless further extended by local ordinance or by zoning board of adjustment for good cause.
Okay.
What?
And you'll see a note, I believe I've made copies of Jackie's,
Okay, this-
Jackie
this- yeah.
Rollins's.
The reason being, if someone comes for a variance, say they come for a variance say they come for a variance in October
Yep.
to do a building. Hurricane comes, frost comes early, 10 feet of snow, they don't get started till May. 6 months is going by to get another variance,
No,
because they didn't start the process.
yeah, but variances run with the property.
They have, in our zoning, if you read it, you get a variance, you have to get a building permit and start the process within 6 months. Seriously,
So what? Really?
that's what this is fixing, correct.
Because variance.
Because we had one person had to come in for the variance.
Because
So what this
I
does
couldn't
is,
just say, no, you're all set, you know,
my understanding in the state is that the variance runs with the property.
doesn't matter what the
forever,
state,
forever,
so.
Unless you create a new.
The variance
law or
does.
merger or-
But you, in order for that variance to become valid, you have to lift the building permit and do the actual construction that required the variance.
Or started at least.
Correct. It's like in our zoning as well.
and
If
what that does is that protects
you
everybody.
have a non-conforming
because
use,
You get your variance today, and 20 years from now, you decide, I'm gonna do the project.
Right.
What all's changed in the area in the meantime? A lot could, so it's not open-ended
it's like
forever.
non-conforming uses. In non, like Pier 19, Act 2000, Apple Hill. They got variances to do in non-conforming. Now they haven't been active for a year.
Yeah.
They're all done. They
Well,
gotta start
yeah,
again.
that's,
So, the same thing is,
Tell me about it.
right, so.
yeah, non-conforming
requirement.
uses, but my understanding of variances is even if they cease operation, the variance still exists on the property.
Oh, the variance does, correct. If what they got the variance for was done.
Okay.
Is that the same as a special exception?
No,
No.
almost identical language except a hardship
See, a
requirement.
special exception's allowed, a variance isn't.
Okay, but once that
variance
special
change-
exception is allowed, does that have to start within 6 months too?
I don't believe so.
Well, that goes with the property is what you're,
My understanding was that when you have a special exception variance or whatnot, it's with the property, it goes with the property.
So what we're doing is.
As long as it was
we're-
done.
We're extending this to 2 years.
Instead of 6 months, it's 2
For
years.
6
correct.
months, right? And making it clear that once that expires, you gotta go back to ZBA.
That's still in there.
Right.
Well, This is,
No,
instead of writing this as 6 months or 2 years, can we just write it goes with the property?
no, because they should do with the building.
Okay.
That just makes sense to me.
Right, and again, to what we're talking about, you know,
I'm used
20
to-
years from now, somebody
Because you
wants
could
to.
get a variance,
It
you
should
could
be
just say you
open-ended.
get a variance to build an addition on to within 2 feet of a lot line.
I don't think
And the
that,
neighbor sells, and a new person builds it, and all of a sudden, they buy this house, and all of a sudden, they don't know about this variance, and this
well,
superstructure gets built 2 feet from the lot line.
I actually think I think the town is wrong. I mean, the way I say it, because say you have a variance for a use, a change of use.
Correct.
All right, so building A, you know,
Mm-hmm.
is, the building doesn't change, nothing's changing on the
Right.
property. You're just changing the use from
Correct.
from a permitted to a non-permitted use.
Correct.
Well, there's no permit to initiate that process, there's nothing. All you have is the variance and what the board has said.
Correct.
So that's why I always understood.
But the use gets changed, and the person goes in and does what that use is changed to. You don't change the use before someone, you're not gonna change the use to a car dealership, because maybe down the road someone wanna put a car dealership there. You're changing the use to a car dealership because you wanna open a car dealership.
Right,
So you open it.
but there's no, first of all, I have no problem changing this 2 years, but.
I'm just saying.
You know, but
Yes.
there's nothing that initiates that, there's no permit, there's no, nothing, it's just, you change the use.
Yeah, change the use permit, yeah, it's just,
Wow.
it's a site plan, but
Okay,
it's commercial. Same thing that Cricket's going through.
yeah,
but but some of those,
But if it's in the neighborhood business district where it's allowed, it stays.
right, I was just thinking
The same
back
use.
a little bit with David Ladd trying to sell and blah, 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 that some of that stuff is contingent upon, in other words, if I could sell that piece of property with David Ladd's boat trailers or whatever he was doing,
Yeah,
he'd get more money for it, but that doesn't mean the new owner's gonna do it, so to speak. He's just
Correct.
upped his value when he sold it, but the new owner that bought it with that variance or whatever you gave him,
it was this, I don't know. what-
site plan review.
Site plan review.
Yeah,
Bought it
he
with
went
that,
in
and then you're gonna
and-
tell him you can't use it because he didn't use it.
Right.
No,
I see what Matt's saying.
Can I just make a note? The language that's proposed here is the actual language in the statute. And the purpose was to mirror the state statute.
I want to go on record for saying I'm wrong. and you're right. So,
Just want to make that clear.
Perfect.
All right, good.
all right. Can I have a motion to move it to town meeting?
I'll do
Public
that one
hearing.
too.
Public hearing.
I'll do that one too.
And I'll second that too.
All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. All right. Any other questions for the planning board before we call it?
Next meeting?
I just have one quick question, just regarding notifying abutters.
Mhm.
If someone's not in a butter, but they're like very close, do they get notified, like the sandpit or something
The
else?
butter gets notified, and then there's also
Notice in the
Notice
paper.
in the paper.
and that's kind of to cover.
I mean, the reason I'm asking is Mary Beth's subdevelopment, I'm sure you guys know. I don't know, this could be years down the road, but I guess my question is like, not everybody on Federal Corner will get a notice of that?
No, you
Just-
will.
No, just the butters.
I mean, I will, and you know, a couple of people that have bought that
Mhm.
land, but somebody, obviously it affects everyone on Federal Corner, but not everyone will get notice of that, huh?
No,
Okay.
just in a butter.
Yep.
And I don't know, so we sent you a notice on mine.
Mhm.
I don't know if you're really in the butter, because we
Yeah, I
don't,
only own that one little
well,
point right
the
there.
point,
Yeah.
the pin on the corner is
Yep.
your.
Yeah, that probably happened.
We share a common pin.
Yeah,
Yep.
I know it's close, yeah, but, okay.
I
I
think
guess better safe than sorry.
Yeah.
So we're
Doesn't
not gonna
hurt.
talk about that.
No, no,
because
glad you
the
came.
woman's not
Yep.
here.
Yep.
And then,
I think we ought to talk about it, not that we're not gonna,
Just don't make a decision,
not gonna
because
address it.
she
I
would
mean,
like to be part of that
Yeah,
discussion.
yeah.
Okay. So, if everybody remembers, we had a discussion about availability of planning board records. We had a situation where, I can't remember who, somebody came down and they could not find
Yeah.
Leanne's,
Oh,
Mr.
yeah.
McWhorter,
Courthouse.
the application was on Leanne's desk. He came into the town hall, talked to, what might have been Heather.
Karen.
Karen, yeah,
Karen.
and they didn't know where it was. So it was there, but he wasn't provided the records. So it came up that a lot of people in the audience that night, and also Leanne felt strongly that the application should be available online. And so we're here to talk about it.
Laurie, he meant
Laurie.
Laurie.
I
Sorry.
said Leanne.
Laurie.
Yeah, no, I didn't.
For some reason,
I did not, Mr. Crowley.
So what at the time, I saw that there may be problems with doing that, and I did talk to Ossipee, I've talked to Bonnie down in Moultonborough, who's the planning secretary, and these are larger facilities. They have a town planner, a planning secretary, in Moultonborough and stuff, and Bonnie's been doing this for a long time, just for some feedback from other towns about being online. And in both cases, they had very strong reactions to that, about the problems. And as I've been, I'm going to use the word stuck, doing this chairman, and the number of last minute things that come into these, it's absolutely ridiculous. I mean, we get stuff like 2 hours before the meeting. So I can definitely see why, and everyone is not, and everyone in planning is kind of against doing that, because I can just imagine the problems that would create. But, so that's just from a practical standpoint, but what's everybody think?
I'll give you my opinion, okay? And my perspective is similar, I guess, but what we were talking about was what I would call sort of an ad hoc approach. In other words, when somebody submits an application, we ought to have PDFs of this stuff, put them up on the website, yada, yada, yada. That approach, in terms of making them available online, is destined to fail, okay? The only way it won't fail is if it becomes institutionalized. And the only way you institutionalize it is you do what Moultonboro's doing right now. They're in a project with a contractor to take all of their planning documents, the whole history, and digitize them and index them. It's a multi-year program, and I think Walter said there's been in about multiple tens of thousands of dollars per year to get this thing up and going. What you end up with is something that, in the end, is a service that's provided by an outside vendor to the town to keep this stuff accurate. It's indexed 87 ways the next week, so you can find everything that you need, and it's all there.
Problem with that, though, the town would need a plotter.
Well,
Because you can't see the information on 8.5 by 11 that you can see on a 20 by 30.
right. But again, just in terms of having the records digital, it's a much bigger piece than just when somebody gives us their application, give us a PDF and we'll put the PDF up. Because there's a lot of stuff that isn't PDF'd. And, you know, if we start saying, planning board secretary is gonna scan all this stuff in and stuff is gonna get missed.
Well, that's,
What you said is true, that, you know, at 5:30, 6 o'clock in the evening, as we're trying to get everything together to have it all there for the meeting, stuff is coming in. So it's great to think that you ought to be able to go on the internet and look up everything that you want to see about whatever you're going to be dealing with. But for a town the size of ours, we don't have the staff, the infrastructure as a town to support that.
well, it's not just that, I think we're exposing ourselves to liability, you know.
You forget something.
That's
Yeah,
right, you missed
something,
something.
the scanner sucks in 2 pages at once, somebody catches it, and believe me, there are people who will catch that
Sure.
and says, I didn't see that, you know, that application is invalid, you know, I was denied my rights, you know, who knows?
Oh, I wouldn't go there. I would just leave it the way we have it.
But
Let them
Yep.
call, let them ask,
Yep.
and we'll find
Well,
it
you
for
know, we
you.
had people come to the hearing and talk about right to know. There was no right to know issue associated with that. The records were here. It was, internal communication wasn't as good as it could have been, but it wasn't that it wasn't available.
Can't be instantaneous.
Right.
It's just, we're not built that way.
And just because somebody can't find something on a particular day doesn't mean that there's an intent there to deny them.
Well, I
Access
think,
to it.
I think we have a responsibility to make sure that it is reasonably easy for them to access that information. And in that case, it was probably fairly easy to correct. It was a conversation with, you know, just saying, hey, you know, guys, if you need that, this is where it is. You know, and
Right.
that issue probably will never happen again, or at least not for a decade or something, until we all forget about this again. And, you know, and that was the correction. But, you know, the undertaking to digitize this, I mean, the undertaking to put this up on the web and make it available, make it accurate, and at least to a level of accuracy, we're not exposing ourselves to the town.
You need
liability.
a
It's
whole,
just-
a whole new staff to do that in itself.
But,
It's gonna cost tens of thousands of dollars.
I mean, I have done projects like this, you know, and I can tell you that it's not as simple as people assume it is, that, oh, just have them send the file and we'll upload it.
Right.
Because
It's
they
not
go on
like
Google.
that, you know?
No, you're exactly right.
You're right.
So,
I mean,
Yeah.
these are massive undertakings.
And again, and it was talked about that night, if we put the onus on the applicant to put all of it in a digital format so it could be posted, then you got a guy like Ed or Steve or anybody else that's got their small operation here in town that you're saying, you gotta go hire somebody to
Right.
do all this stuff for you,
Right.
and put all this money into it, and all you wanna do is you wanna expand your garage into a workshop.
Yeah. Well,
Yeah,
And-
you become non-user friendly to
Correct.
a certain percentage of
Right, right, so,
us Yankees that don't
well,
like the
you
change.
know,
When
we're
the
a
state
small
did it with
town,
septic.
and our
Right.
operation should be geared toward people in this town.
That's correct.
Not to large commercial developers who have, you know, are used to working with all of this fancy stuff all the
I
time.
had the other day, because Belknap's putting in 2 new septic systems.
Right.
And one of the septic system plans is 23 pages. And they want to know if you want that PDF. Says, no, I want it in paper. You know?
Yeah,
I have to, whenever we build a building,
Yeah.
I have to request paper.
Right,
You know, because we usually keep a copy of the building plans,
right.
and they're not gonna send it to you,
No.
but,
No, I think we leave it the way it is.
well, we need Leanne's.
Lorraine.
Maureen, yep, yep.
Well,
Well, and certainly the next time she's here, we'll talk about it some more.
Yeah.
But those are the, it ain't as easy as,
No, it's not. They think because you can go on Google, put anything in, it comes up. It's not like that.
Yeah.
It's just, it's not that easy. It's easy to go on Google, you're not gonna do it.
Steve, what do you think as an honorary planning board member?
I think, yeah, I don't think you wanna get carried away in that whole. There was one, like you said a few minutes ago, there was one instance in the last 4 or 5 years, and that, or whatever.
Since 2008 that
Yeah,
I've been here.
okay, so in 10
And I wasn't
years.
here. If I was here, it would have been fine.
Right, and it was,
But-
and he was a little hot under the collar anyhow, and.
Well, I mean, I can remember over the years, when it was zoning board stuff, you know, I would, first of all, I knew it was Jackie, so I would go in and, all right, let me book when Jackie's in, and I would go in, but I can remember there were times I came in, Jackie wasn't around, and they're like, Jackie's not here, and, you know, all right, I'll come back, and whatever, she's coming back, and we got it figured out. The other thing I will say, just because I saw copies of all the emails, is, we had, I wish I should mention, you know, Mr. McWhorter many times requested things by email from, and he always got them.
Yeah.
I mean, she sent them. It wasn't, no questions asked, so I mean, it is available. She'll do that. I mean, it probably doesn't come up that much. Which, while we're talking about it, I did go to the ZBA hearing because the McWhorter slash,
Yeah, I know, the
Clark.
trust.
Clark.
Clark,
Clark Trust,
the
yeah.
ZBA did uphold the planning board decision, just so everyone's aware.
Yeah, it was
It was
in
in
the
the
email
newspaper.
from,
Okay.
yeah,
So,
you saw that.
Today's paper,
yeah.
the decision.
So, all right.
Anything else, Leanne?
Just one more thing. I can't attend the January 3rd meeting, and so I didn't know if anybody was available. Like, do you want to move it to the 10th? Or do,
I won't be here the 10th. Before the, yeah, the call.
we have,
Lorraine's away.
I mean, we have the meeting on this,
When is your next meeting?
The
that's what I'm
30th.
looking, the
3rd,
17th.
17th.
3rd and 17th.
What would
So-
we do on that? Maybe finish.
Well, I don't know if we'll have any applications.
Shawview, maybe they'll have their conditions met, they can sign, or,
so what you're suggesting is not meeting on the.
you know, just go the 17th.
Oh, I was just gonna try to move it. I didn't know.
She's going,
if
she's
the-
talking about January now.
Yeah,
Yes.
January.
Yeah.
It's the pleasure of the board. I just wanted to let you know I couldn't attend, and how do you want to handle it?
Hey, if there's no applications,
No, but the 3rd there won't be.
No, but
only
we could have
applications on the
continuing,
17th.
yeah. We could sign, like I say, a Shawview plan or something like that, but
But we don't need a meeting for that.
No.
The chairman has the authority to sign them outside of
I say
meeting,
we
so.
just cancel it and go to the
17th.
And just
17th.
go with the 17th?
I love it.
Yay.
I
Okay.
won't be here for the 17th.
You will?
I will not.
Will
I
not,
think I
okay.
tell you that.
Maybe
Yeah, you
speaking
did.
French, right?
I will be speaking.
Oh, no, I'll wait to hear from you then.
Uh-huh.
I'll try to, no, by the time I'll be in Spain.
What do you want to do, Steve?
I'm flexible.
Good.
I'll
shut
get some
down, so-
paella.
Yeah,
That's it.
super.
I'm out till Wednesday.
I can do it, I can do it,
Also, end of next week or something, you mean?
Yeah.
I can do it tomorrow, but.
Look at the paper, look at the paperwork we're coming back.
Yep. I have a motion to adjourn.
I have a question.
I'll do that one too.
This is for Bill, listening with the selectmen. Are you all set on the master plan, the cost, and the planning board budget? Okay, that I must have missed it then.
Yeah, it was 2 meetings ago, I think we did that.
No, this is with the selectmen, because every once in a while
okay.
it comes up for discussion, that's why I'm asking you. All right, thank you.
Yeah, we will be encumbering the
Will we
money
adjourn?
that's required to pay the rest of the contract.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Motion to adjourn. we all-
Hey, Steve, Merry Christmas.
Yeah, Merry Christmas. Thanks for the cookies.
I move we adjourn the meeting.
Second,
Oh, that was on camera.
I'll
All right.
I'll second.
all those in favor, aye.
Aye.
Thank you.